I have been dragging my feet on this video for over 2 years now. And I don't want to say dragging. I've been working on it. If you can't tell, this is the incredibly long-awaited part two to my AliExpress I built a CRT TV kit. If you haven't seen my first video, I have a link below and I'll have something up here. Basically, I found a kit, a do-it-yourself, build your own television kit on AliExpress, and it is with this very interesting 5-inch black and white CRT. You get all the parts. You get the tube, obviously, right? But you get the PCB, all the parts, and instructions here. That you get to put it together all by yourself, and it's a lot of fun. It was a challenging kit, but it was a fun kit, and it was so fun I bought another one. So without spoiling the first video too much, it worked in the sense that the television powered on, it displayed an image, and it also had sound. It did all the things a television should do. However, it didn't look real good, and it still doesn't look real good. So I decided, let's buy another kit because, well, a couple things. It worked, but the parts that they supplied were questionable. They were all Chong X capacitors, which don't really have a good reputation or any reputation at all. And they've actually been known to fail at their rated capacity. So my idea was, well, you know what? This is the original one. This one works. So why don't we buy another one, but do it with all good parts? So I bought this one, I took the parts list, and I have all Worth capacitors and Panasonic parts and all kinds of, basically anything that I could find a replacement part for, I did. Things I didn't replace were the flyback, like some of the plugs and switches, trivial things, the RF tuner. That is all original to the kit. But I got quality parts. And as you can tell, pretty much the exact same results. There's a little difference between the two screens just because I don't have them dialed in exactly. And I'm also splitting the AV signal going into it. But really, with the quality parts, I got the exact same result as with the original parts. And over the last 2 years, you're probably wondering, what have I been doing? Because this video, and first off, I want to say, I think that the original video that I released really kind of made the channel to what it is today. As of right now, that video has over 54,000 views, which for my channel of this side is astronomical. I remember when I posted that video, it went live in the morning. I had to jump on an airplane, and when I landed, I think I had like 8,000 or 10,000 views. And at that time, I only had a few hundred subscribers, maybe even not even 100 subscribers. So it was my first viral video for a channel of my size. But in that time, I've had a lot of comments. I've had a lot of people reach out to me in whether it was on Twitter and then what came X or other social medias or Reddit. I spoke to a bunch of people, some people who've built this same kit. You know who you are. Thank you for reaching out and helping me troubleshoot, from South America, from France, from the Philippines. All over the world, we were collaborating on this 5-inch AliExpress kit. And the interesting thing is, everybody else got it to work, except for me. And I want to start going over some of the reasons why I think that. And if you look at the comments in the video, one of the biggest, I don't want to say complaints, but one of the biggest issues is, well, I'm in the US, so I'm 120 volts, 60 hertz. This was made in China, and it was supplied and kind of really implied that it would be, 220 volts, 50 hertz. So, okay, issue one. We'll talk more about these later. And the other most probable issue was, because I'm in North America, I am in NTSC land, never the same color land. Whereas if this was truly designed for the Chinese market, it would be PAL, but specifically PAL D. Little differences between that and regular European PAL. Doesn't matter. But the point is NTSC vice PAL. Now, I did what I could to rectify those. Let's start with video input for the beginning. I did buy a PAL to NTSC converter off Amazon. Now, I have no idea how this really works or if it really works. Basically, I have NTSC going in, PAL going out. My question with that, and maybe you can help in the comments, is this just making the signals compatible to each other, or are we actually changing the lines and the frequency and actually making that original NTSC, or basically your original signal, compatible with the output? Am I really getting true PAL output, or am I getting a good enough output that PAL can read? I don't know the answer. Where I'm not sure if this matters, both of these, if I switch, can do RF. In my thinking is, well, even if it's not getting a signal, it's going to get static, and that shouldn't matter. And the concern is, down at the very bottom, there is a line. It almost looks like a compressed signal, like multiple lines are being squished together. That would make sense if I was sending it a really weird NTS signal and it expected PAL. But I would think that if I was just looking at RF, scanning, and there's a dial on it, but if I was scanning the RF frequency band, that the static should fill up the entire screen, I would think, right? I don't know. So now let's address the power. So I have these two devices over here. We're going to start on the AC side, because right now one of these sets is powered by AC, which is this one, and this one is powered directly by DC. So I went out and I purchased this converter to take 120 volts up to 220. Great. However, the voltage is right, but this doesn't give me 50 hertz. So it's 220 volts at 60 hertz because I'm in North America. So there's that issue. So it resolved kind of, it gave us the correct voltage but not the right frequency. However, because this is a small portable device, it can be powered off DC. So I just got my benchtop power supply and I plugged DC in. Now, it doesn't care what the voltage is. I'm just giving it DC voltage. And I cranked it up a little higher than, the 15 that the kit, or that the kit says, but more importantly, that what I verified after the rectifier, it is 15 volts DC. I gave it a little bit more because at 15 from the bench supply, it was a little finicky. I don't know why. But both of those still didn't fix the problem. So now I'm really stuck at, maybe the linchpin is I don't have a true PAL signal, I think, but even static, it still has that really weird compressed line at the bottom. And I don't have 50 hertz. But I power it off DC, and frequency shouldn't matter because it's DC. The frequency only goes up to the rectifier when I make AC to DC, and at that point, it's all DC for the rest of the kit. It's frustrating. It's been frustrating, and I hope you understand why it took 2 years to put this video out. And I had done a lot of troubleshooting with people all over the world, all the new amazing CRT friends that I've made for this, and I've tried different workarounds, and what works for them doesn't work for me. But again, the linchpin is they have a true PAL signal. Even European PAL is close enough to PAL D that they would have had in China, and 50 hertz. But I'm not convinced entirely that that is the case. In my research with this, I found a couple things. One, this is a pretty generic board. I've seen this board used in portable, like actual portable televisions that have a radio in it, and you put, like, 23 D-cell batteries in. So this is almost an off-the-shelf board, or at least very similar. The same thing with the tube. I found this tube used in other devices. But what does that mean, right? This is a kit. And as far as I can tell, the purpose of this kit was just kind of like the Chinese version of, Radio Shack kits that we would have here in the US. It was a little more advanced. It would teach you soldering. It would give you something that worked. And at the end of the day, if I was building this, maybe I was going to build this for a class, right? Maybe I'm taking an electrical engineering class. Would this grade well? Yeah, it works, right? Does the kit work? Does the TV display? It does play sound. I took the speakers off to record this, but it works. It is a hobby kit, and it does exactly what it should be. And just like any hobby kit you get, whether you get it from Radio Shack or Amazon, and some of these STEM kits, they're great, and you learn a lot, but they're not perfect. I remember I built an AM/FM radio kit when I was younger, and it kind of worked. Did it pick up stations? Yeah, sometimes. But the quality wasn't there, and it really wasn't meant to be a quality piece. It was meant to be an educational learning piece. And I think that's where we're at with this. Before I close it out, we're going to take a little closer look at these two. But I think this is almost the end of this chapter for me as far as these kits go. I've put a lot of time, a lot of energy into it. Unfortunately, shocked myself more times than I care to admit publicly. But it's been fun. It has been fun. Oh, the last thing I want to address with this is the yoke. I've had a lot of people saying that the yoke wasn't pushed forward enough. It absolutely is. I got my good electrical gloves on it, and I grabbed and I pushed it forward, and I turned it around. I've done as much adjustment on the yokes as I can. Probably too much adjustment on one of the CRTs, but the yoke doesn't fix the problem. Where I'm at right now, I don't think there's anything more I can do with my level of troubleshooting and my level of understanding with how CRTs go. I think I'm pretty good. I have a better track record than some people when it comes to CRT repair, but I just can't figure this one out. I can't. I'm welcome to suggestions from anybody. If you comment on this video, maybe you bought a kit, maybe you were able to fix it, and you're in North America in a very similar signal and power environment I am welcome to any suggestion for this, but I don't know if I'm going to be revisiting as often as what I originally thought I would. I really thought I would have had two fully working kits. That's just not in the cards. So we're gonna flip the camera around, take a little closer look at exactly what I've done, and that's probably going to be the end of this video, and maybe the last time you'll see these little guys on the channel. I don't know. I hope not. So let's take a closer look. I want to talk a little bit about the quality of the parts that are shipped. This is just a quick sample of 1K ohm resistors that you would get if you bought this kit, and the values are off. There are some that are close and within tolerance, but this isn't what I would expect from quality parts. And if you order resistors from any reputable manufacturer, you get much closer groupings. 0.9, all right, so that's 1,000. This next one is almost going to be 1.5. Now, mind you, that may be in tolerance with the rest of the circuit board, but those aren't the kind of variances that I would expect. Another thing I want to talk about is just the quality of the markings of the resistor. This should be brown, black, orange, and gold. But really, it's just brown, black, blank, and blank. And the only way to find anything out is to actually measure. But because of the deviance, it's difficult to see. I want to talk a little bit about the capacitors, too. I did have an earlier video, a link in the description, of a gentleman on YouTube testing different capacitors of the same brand, and I did this too, and it was just kind of fun to see them blow up. So this is going to really challenge my knowledge of electrical engineering. So I'm taking the 2 transistors that come with the kit, and I put them in my transformer branded transistor tester, and I want to look at the differences between the ones that come with the kit and the ones that I bought off DigiKey. I'm specifically looking at that HFE value, hybrid parameter forward current gain. It's the measure of DC gain of a junction. I kind of understand how it works, kind of not really. But the point is, both of these measure at around 120 HFEs, HEFAs. Somebody will correct me. But the new ones that I bought off DigiKey are much higher, on the order of 50 HEFAs. I'm going with that. I like HEFAs. So this one's going to come in at about, 176. 50 seems like a big difference. I don't know if that delta is enough to make a difference in the transistors, but the point is, these are all the same. They should be very, very similar because they're the same type of transistor, but they're not. All right, so like I said earlier, we're just going to walk through the setup I have here so you kind of understand what I'm dealing with. So this is the original one here. You see the black Chongx capacitors. This is the new one. You can kind of see the nice red Worth capacitors. Anytime I replace capacitors, I really try to use Worth. I've had a lot of success with them over the years, and it's just it's a brand I know and trust and have a lot of confidence in. So walking through, like I said, I do have my DC bench power supply over here, supplying one of them with direct DC power. And then I have this very beefy 110 to 220 volts power transformer, but it only outputs 60 hertz. So we are getting 220 out, but only 60 hertz. This is interesting. I don't know if this was made in 1987. It looks newer than that. Maybe it's just a model, but this thing is, this is heavy, very, very beefy. That, obviously supplying 220 volts AC, which then goes to, ooh, that's warm, the transformer, but then supplying the device. And then there's a bridge rectifier there which will then make DC power. And then this is the very cheap or affordable PAL to NTSC converter that I bought off Amazon. I think it does something because when I flip the switch, so like right now it's on NTSC out, so I think it thinks it's going backwards, so you see the screen is flickering really bad. If I switch it over to PAL, not only do I get PAL on the screen, but it looks better, not great. We still have that very prominent line on the bottom. So I have this. Again, there are unknowns. I don't know if this is giving me a true PAL signal. I'm in North America, so I don't have anything that outputs PAL, and I'm not getting 50 hertz from here. But like I said, if we just bend this up a little bit to look, you have that line on the bottom where it's all compressed. And I did bump the yoke when I moved everything around, so that's why the screen's compressed. It was filled up a little more. But that line at the bottom, that is the concern. And my thought was, well, okay, if it's expecting PAL and I'm giving it an okay enough NTSC signal, that might make sense. But if I switch it over to RF, see, it's folded up. The screen's folded up on the bottom. So something's not right. There's not enough voltage. Something in the signal path is just not playing. And I don't know enough in depth into how, I know how CRTs work. I've done a lot of troubleshooting in the past. I fixed similar issues, but I fixed those on incredibly well documented Sony, Panasonics, Hitachis, not on, piece of equipment that its only documentation looks like that. This is how it was shipped. This is the only documentation on it, and of course it's all in Mandarin. So challenging, very, very challenging. But I think that's the end for now with these sets. I'm not going to call it a failure because this was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun building. I had a lot of fun building this one originally because I was still a very young channel at the time, and I thought this would have been a cool video that I might have got, 20 subscribers out of and like 80 views. Instead, it is blew up, and this was featured on Hackaday, which was huge. I mean, that was great being a small channel like I am, getting picked up by Hackaday. I still get a lot of views and a lot of comments on it, and this kit means a lot to me because it was very good for a small channel at the time, and this one was even better because I had a bright idea. I'd put good parts in there, redo it, and I really took my time. I wanted to really make sure I had all the connections good. I checked everything to ground. Every single connection was perfect on this, and I got pretty much the same result on the screen. So not a failure because I replicated it. It's not user error, at least. I didn't do something wrong. It's could be some other voltage adjustment in here. I've played with every single pot on here, adjusted everything I can. I just don't know. I don't know anymore. But I am willing to talk to anybody who is way more experienced in CRT repair than I am. But this is not going to be on my bench of projects anymore. It's going to be put in a box somewhere, and I'll revisit it periodically. It's not a failure. It was fun. It's just time to move on. Well, thanks for watching. If you like stuff like this, which I hope you do, check the channel out. I got a pretty decent back catalog now of a lot of other videos. If this is up your alley, I got other things that you'll enjoy as well. So like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll catch you next time.